Good afternoon, everyone. Charles from Hardwork Martial Arts here today. And today I would like to cover how to hold paddles for your partners when you are training and practicing with them. Paddles are an important part of our training routine. It allows us to work on our accuracy, develop good feedback, and impact. Now, in our class, you will see two different sizes of paddles. One will be larger and one will be slightly smaller. For us, this is simply a significant difference in the weight. The larger paddles are going to be for adults. The smaller paddles will be for children so that they're not quite as heavy and their arms simply don't get as tired. Now there are a bunch of other numbers of types of targets that we use, but today we're just going to focus on the paddle. So I'll set that one aside. Now the paddle has a couple different spots that we want you to be aware of. This is the face of the paddle. This is the spot that we want you to be striking. It has some padding and then it has a bit of a buffer zone on the front and you'll be able to hit it well. We use what we call a clapper paddle, so when you hit it well, it'll make a nice loud sound. That'll give you some feedback to let you know how well, more importantly, how accurately you're hitting the target. Now, the edges of the paddle, you don't want to hit this. The edge is pretty hard, okay? That leads all the way down to the spine of the paddle where there's this threading, and we don't want to hit the handle because that's where our partner's hand is going to be. You'll see an elastic strap here on our paddles. You can use those if you feel like the paddle is insecure and it might go flying. I put my hand through it and then I just hold the paddle. That way if I let go, it can dangle and I don't end up losing it. But don't twist the paddles or swing them around by the straps. We want to keep our equipment in good condition. All right, now there are a couple different ways to hold the paddle that are pretty standard for when you're holding targets for specific kicking techniques and striking techniques. I'm just going to cover the two biggest ones first. The first one is your standard hold for axe kick, for punches, if you're doing these. And this is what we call a raindrop hold, okay? I'm gonna hold the handle up. I'm gonna take my hand, thumb side towards me, and I'm gonna grab the handle, all right? Now, if you notice, when I'm holding this pad, the pad is next to me. No circumstance do I want this pad to be in front of me. If my opponent is kicking the target or punching the target and they miss, I'm behind the target. That means I'm risk getting hit. Instead, I want to have the paddle be next to me so that if it gets hit or they miss, and more importantly, they're going to hit the air around the target. They're not going to risk injuring me. Now, once I have this, I want to have a firm hold. The key to this hold is to make sure that the impact gets pushed into the palm of my hand, not towards my fingers. So if my fingers are back towards me, it can get yanked out of my hand. If I'm holding it like a frying pan and it comes down, the impact is going to pull it out of my fingers that way. So I want to make sure that it's here. I suggest you have the spine of the pad aiming more towards you this way than the other way. Again, if I do this, it tends to be a bit more in front of me, so I want the pad flipped around and held next to me. Now, if I'm holding for something like a kick or a punch, I need to know the angle of impact. A punch, when it throws, impact is going to be a straight line. So when I hold the pad, if I'm holding this way, I want to hold it in a straight line, parallel or opposite, perpendicular to that target so that it gets hit, it can move and reset. If I'm holding for something like an axe kick, that technique comes down at an angle. I want to make sure to hold it at an angle that will allow a nice attack line. That way I can hit it evenly. My partner can drill their techniques well. In either case, it's important to hold the target still. The sound can be a bit startling or a bit scary. We understand that, but we want to make sure that we hold it well. Okay, if I'm nervous about getting hit, I might even look away, close my eyes with a firm grip, and just let my partner work on their technique. I don't want to be moving it or adjusting it while they're in the middle of the motion. The reason is it allows my partner or risks injury for my partner when they're trying to re-aim and readjust in the middle of their technique. Especially if we're beginners, we want to have a good, stable target that allows us to work on our accuracy and good form before we start building on adjustments and moving to change our angles of attack depending on where the target is put. Okay, same thing if I'm here. Now, when it does get hit, no matter the level of impact, I want to keep my body relaxed. In most cases for a paddle, it'll get hit and I'll let my wrist move to absorb that impact. A lot of time it'll smack myself in the forearm. That's fine. I don't have to worry about that. Now, sometimes it may get hit really hard and my whole arm may get yanked down. Let it swing, let it move. Don't try to fight the hold, okay? You want to let it move. That's going to save any stress that might go into your elbow or into your shoulder. We don't want our bodies to get hurt or injured while we are holding, especially if we're trying to help our partners, because we have our own training to do. So make sure when you hold, keep it off the center line of your body, keep it out from in front of you, make sure you hold it next to you, make sure there's no stress in your shoulder or elbow, so don't hold way back behind you. This is not going to be good. Keep it in front where everything is relaxed and comfortable. When it gets hit, let it move, let it swing, make sure your partner readjusts, and then you can put it back to wherever you're going to go. So that's our basic downward or raindrop style hold. So that's the first one. The other type of hold we'll do is what I call an ice cream cone hold. And this is because I use the example ice cream cone, not sword. So if you imagine this like an ice cream cone, the spine is going to be towards me. I want to hold it up, not out. If I hold it out pointed at my partner, same problem happens. This is generally used for lateral attacks. If they strike though and they miss, my hand is in the way, my arm is in the way. So by taking it offline, I hold it up. Now if they miss, they hit the air around it and they're not going to hit me. So what I'll tend to do when I'm holding this, I'll hold it in one hand. I'm not going to hold it way out really far from my body. My arm's going to get very tired this way. Instead, I'll hold it in, but I still make sure there's plenty of space between me and the target. Depending on the kick, if I'm here, I may change the angle a little bit. I like to, when there's a roundhouse kick coming, angle it a little bit one way. All right. Again, the impact wants to hit it so it gets pushed into the palm of my hand. I don't want to hold it, unless I'm very experienced, very skilled, where it could get ripped away from my fingers. I have a nice firm hold. If you're not worried about that, that's okay, but make sure you have a firm grip. Use the strap if you need to. So ice cream cone hold, we hold it up above our hand. Depending on the angle, it may be a little over one side and maybe a little over for the other. It may be head high if they're doing some sort of lateral strike. Now, the only thing you really need to remember when you're holding a paddle, no matter what type of hold, whether it's this way, or if you're holding this way, or in some cases we may ask you to hold this way if you're much taller than your partner, is a simple setup. Whatever angle the attack is coming at, I want my pad to be perpendicular to that. So here to here. I don't want the pad here if my attack is coming this way. That'll cause a glancing blow and won't give my partner the feedback that they want. I want to make sure my grip is good. That way I don't let it go flying out of my hands. These do have a bit of mass to them. If they go flying and they risk hitting a partner, they could injure them. So we want to make sure that we have a good firm grip. We want to make sure we're focused on our partner. We're holding, we're watching them. That way we can make small adjustments to make it easier for them to practice. I don't want to be getting distracted looking around because I might get scared or startled if the target gets hit when I'm not expecting it. We want to make sure that we're a good partner, we're observant, and we're doing our best so that we can help them, our partners, work on their technique, because then thereafter, they're going to hold for us. And we expect that same level of respect and effort from them as they help us improve as a team and as a studio. That's how you hold paddles. Hope that helped. Let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day.